Okay, so I thought I'd do a quick video and kind of show you guys how I'm gonna run the corporation or the business that I just started with the truck. Going through my first week, it's actually more like 7 days. I guess it's seven. It's a little bit of last week as I started on like a Friday or Thursday, and then this week I ended on Thursday as well. But I run my payroll from Monday to Sunday, so it's kind of convoluted. This is a little bit of the first week, and then this whole week, but it still equals out to a week anyway. So I'm going to show you the contractor settlements, and then I'm going to show you kind of how I'm doing my numbers and looking for opinions and things like that. I mean, you don't have to be nasty if that's how you want to do things, but this is, being that I've never done this before, I've kind of had an idea of how it should be done, but maybe you guys know a better way, maybe you don't. Maybe you like something I did, maybe you've got a way I can prove it, or you can maybe take an idea that I used. But anyway, so this is the first contractor settlement. I hope you guys can see that. So the total of the first load paid $3,699.84. It was 3 campers that went to Texas. You can see right here it says Selma, Texas, and the little fees that you see taken out, I'm going to show you kind of down here so you can get a better idea. The total pay, like I said, was $36.99. They pay $3.70 a mile plus the 12 cents fuel surcharge. So when you take 3 campers, you get $2.82 a mile. It was 1,312 miles. They charge a $35 shuttle fee. So basically, they have a guy go to a yard, pick up the campers, bring them to you, and then you load them. Every camper is $35. Yes, every camper is $35. So there's the $105 shuttle fee. There is the amount of tolls they give you, prepaid tolls, $5. I didn't actually use any tolls. I guess they thought maybe I'd use one of the toll roads around Dallas or something, but I didn't use it. But that money got added to my account. So after you take out the shuttle fee, you add in the tolls, you take out my trailer lease, because I do not own this trailer yet. Once it's paid off, I'll own it. But they charge 30 cents a mile on loaded campers and 10 cents a mile on back hauls. And we'll get to that in a minute. So my trailer lease was $393.60. And my bond, which they have a bond of $1,500. They take, I think it's 10% or something like that, or 7%, sorry, different companies, different numbers. So the company I'm with, Synergy, takes 7%. So they took $259 out of my settlement toward my bond. Once that gets to $1,500, they'll take nothing out. And that bond is there in case I damage something. If I damage something for $100, then they'll take 7% until I'm back to $1,500 again. So hopefully once the bond is paid, I never touch it. Then once you leave the company, 30 days later, they send you your bond, which gave me a total profit to the truck of $29.47.24 for that load. The next load, kind of the same thing. Now, this was a backhaul. I picked up 3 cars 3 miles away from where I dropped off the campers. They charged 15% on backhauls for a total of $270, which left me $1,530. Then they took out my bond, $107, left me $1,423. Now, you notice a minute ago I said 10 cents a mile on backhauls. For some reason, they did not charge me the 10 cents per mile. I'm going to ask about that because I don't want it to be a surprise later, and I want that trailer paid off as soon as possible. So if they just forgot this one time, fine, but going forward, I want to make sure that they do what they say they're going to do. So that total paid $14.23 to the truck for that backhaul. Now, I will say, this was a horrible week. The company told me, bear with us. There is a camper show right there in northern Indiana. They just had a camper show in, I think it was Pennsylvania or something like that. So there weren't a lot of orders coming in because everybody's at these shows looking at the new models, yada, yada, yada. And orders have not come in from those to the company, gotten built, and gotten to us yet. So they said this is the worst week of the year that they've ever had. Even though they shut down for 2 weeks in July, they still get orders coming in. The companies that make the trailers shut down for 2 weeks in July. So it slows down a little bit at that time, but this is always the worst time of year, which that's the week I started. Go figure. So this next load, as you guys will see here, what the heck? Stupid dog just shut the light off in the room. You guys will see here, here's all the numbers again, 270 12 cents, 30 cents a mile, blah, 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 blah. All comes down. Now, this was a small load. This was a load that went from Indiana to Summit or Ashland, Kentucky, and it was 341 miles. Not very great. So this load paid $961.62, shuttle fee of $105, gave me a total of $856.62, minus my trailer lease, minus my bond. Total paid to the truck $686.98. Now, the way that I did this is I tallied up basically my expenses. I've got my fuel, my payroll, I had a scale, I had parking, and I have a maintenance fund. And I'll show you how all those break down right here. So, total to the truck for this week, which they said was a horrible week. Now, this is the total actual money to the truck. This is not the gross, because I took out all the bonds, trailer fees, all of that stuff has already been taken out of this $50.57.22. After I calculate that, all of the miles that I drove, which technically in that week and a half, whatever, was 3,489 miles, and I pay myself 50 cents a mile. So that comes out to $1744.50. The amount of fuel that I used, I had to fill up here in Northwest Indiana before I went to Texas because that's just where my gas gauge was at. I had just gotten the truck, had done all the repairs, been driving around Northwest Indiana. So this was the first fuel up that I had, and then I wanted to get my mileage. So I used, they have a fuel card, and on not PowerBook, what is that thing we use? There's Load Book, not Load Book. Hang on, let me tell you what it is. It's the Fuel Book. Okay, so on Fuel Book, they put in our discount code, and of course, if you've ever used Fuel Book, it charts the top 10 cheapest locations from where you are to where you're going. I always try to fill up at the cheapest location on that route, especially if I'm coming back. There were a couple times where I spent $500 in fuel. There were a couple times where I topped off because it was like $2.61 a gallon, and it only cost me $160 or whatever it was to get fuel. Actually, I can show you all my fuels right here. First fuel was $5.78, then $5.37, then $1.61, $2.12. This one shocked me. This was at a TA in Kentucky. On the pump, it said that I paid $799 in fuel. With their discount, I got $534.61. Sometimes their discount is, I think the highest I've seen so far was like 80 or 90 cents a gallon. It was really crazy. So we're getting pretty good fuel discounts from what I'm told. Again, I'm new to the industry. I don't really know, but I'm told these are pretty good fuel discounts. So then my other expenses, I had the scale ticket and I had the one night, the parking. It came to $24.75. Left me this balance. And then I personally am taking out 30 cents a mile for a maintenance fund, and I'm setting it in a different bank account. Once that account hits $20,000, I will not charge myself a maintenance fund for this truck anymore, because I figure if I've got $20,000 in that account, I don't really need to keep adding to it. That will pretty much cover an engine rebuild for the most part if that's the craziest thing that happens. Once it's maxed out, if I take out $500, then I do 30 cents a mile again until that hits $20K. That will always try to have $20K in it unless I have some big expense, and then I'll go back to charging 30 cents a mile again. So all of my expenses, payroll, everything, after all said and done, maintenance fund, everything, the company still profited $215.69. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, there's still more to come out. That's correct. There is still more to come out. I have not ran enough yet to pay my health insurance through the company. I have not ran enough to set up, like, I've been told that through the company I can pay my cell phone bill because I have the tablet, I have my phone, and I have to use those things for work. Even though I do use them for personal, I'm told the company could pay those things and write them off. I'm also told the company can write off things or pay for things such as like an office or internet or any of those kind of things. My car, I could put my car into business and say I use it to drive back and forth to work, which I do. I'm not making the company pay for those things yet because I want to make sure that the company gets off the ground and I can start making a profit. But my thought, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, 1 week, that was technically 7 days. It was a little of last week plus a little of this week. For 7 days, $5,057.22 to the actual truck after they take out all their fees and expenses, and then I deduct all my expenses. The company still made $215.69. That paid me. That paid fuel. That paid pretty much everything. And it was a bad week. If that's the worst week I ever have, that's a win. You take 52 times 215. Company makes a little bit of money. Of course, this being the worst week I've ever had, I did not get a backhaul coming from Kentucky because by the time I got to Dayton, Ohio, the 3 loads I called about, 2 of them weren't available, and it was getting late in the afternoon, and I didn't really want to sit overnight in the truck, pick up a car or 2 the next morning, and bring it back to Chicagoland for $300 or $400. Now I understand that's probably a big no-no. And as I've sat here and thought about it over the last few days, I kind of wish I would have just spent the extra day and picked up those few cars, because I wouldn't have had to pay for fuel. I would have only had to pay myself, which I paid myself anyway. I deadhead back. I pay myself for 50 cents for all miles, which I know isn't a lot. Some of you guys are going to be like, I wouldn't work for 50 cents a mile. It's my company. I'm just paying myself to, and like I said in my first video, I don't have any expenses. I live at my brother's place, and I pay him a little bit for rent and utilities, and that's about it. My car payment and a bunch of other little stuff. So 50 cents a mile is going to be enough to pay my bills and allow the company to make a profit. Once the company gets a little bit bigger and things are a little bit better, maybe I'll give myself a raise or something like that. I'm not really sure, but that's how I did it. That's what I'm looking at. You guys tell me what you think. Is there something you would change? Is there something I should look out for? Did I miss something? Am I putting too much in my maintenance fund? Is 30 cents a mile too much? At this point, I don't think so, because as you guys know, I've got an older truck. I know things are going to happen. I am taking it by the shop tomorrow because I've got a little bit of a grind in my selector switch. When I'm in 12th gear, before I hit the high 12, when I let off the accelerator, there's a little bit of a grind, almost like that selector switch didn't catch all the way. Even though the transmission engaged, RPMs go, everything's normal, there's a little bit of a brrr sound in the selector switch. Hopefully it's not something major. I've looked at it today. I've done a ton of videos and research on it. There's not a lot out there about it. I've seen everything from low fluid, which I checked, it's not low fluid, to a loose cable, to the auxiliary part of the transmission needs to be repaired. Now they say you don't have to drop the whole transmission to do that, but I am not familiar with these transmissions. I don't know that much about them, and I can't afford to take the 5, 6, 7 days it would probably take me to figure it out, if I could figure it out, to do that. So I'm going to take it by the shop. I'm going to have them look at it tomorrow morning before I take off. I do have a load set to go to Iowa. I've been looking at the Iowa area for cars coming back, and I have also figured out that when it comes to backhauls, the one that I took from Kentucky was 3 cars at one place, all going to the same place, which paid $1,800. Not bad. But what if and that was like 80 cents a mile or something like that. What if I would have got 3 different cars? What if I would have spent an extra hour, hour and a half driving around a few miles? I'm not talking about driving way out of the way. In San Antonio, Texas, or bigger cities like Chicago, things like the Indianapolis, I can find cars within like 3 miles of each other. Take that extra hour, hour and a half, and these cars will pay anywhere from 80 cents to up to $2.10 a mile per car. Well, if I'm stacking 80, 80, and 80, I'm getting way better than just 80 cents a mile. I'm getting 8 times 3 is what, $1.60? No, $2.40. I'm getting $2.40 a mile to bring those same 3 cars. Yes, they might have to get dropped off in 3 different places, but on that load board, I look, where are they going? And if I can pick up 3 in one location and drop off 3 in one location, to me, that makes a lot more sense. And I know some people are going to say, oh, well, the time you waste driving around and picking them up and blah, 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 and dropping them off at 3 different locations. $2.40 a mile versus 80 cents a mile, to me, mathematically might be worth it. Now, I haven't broke it down yet, but again, if you guys have got opinions, let me know. Am I on the right track with that, or am I way off base? Is the amount of time it's going to take to get them on and off? I also took into account the order I should pick them up in, because I want to drop them off in the most logical pattern. If I pick up these 3, I might have to go here, then back here, then back here, in that little 6, 7, 8, 9 mile radius, so that I can drop them off on the south side of Chicago, the middle of Chicago, and then the maybe east side of Chicago as I head back toward Indiana. Or maybe I get 2 that drop off on the south side of Chicago, and that third one goes to northern Indiana over in Elkhart or Goshen, where I'm going to pick up the campers. I want to make sure I load that one first so that it's the last one off. I thought about that too. Anyway, these are my thoughts. This is how the first week went. Of course, I'm up for changing or information, things like that, but thought I'd give you guys an update on how the first week went.